New Hampshire with Jack Heath, talking about the issues that matter, from statewide to worldwide, commentary as well as guests, from the Granite State to Washington, D.C., and all over. Now, here's Jack Heath and Good Morning New Hampshire.
Well, that's not what we wanted, and we do have that little bit of a feedback here. But CJ, now we're good. That got our attention. Is that because the airports are so clogged? We're getting echo. Is that what's going on? 2,000 flights still messed up?
Apparently. I apologize. We were trying to get you a little bit of a Fox News hit, and it wanted to replay and replay.
That was pretty foxy, CJ.
Yeah.
Pretty foxy.
I apologize. Good start to the morning.
All right,
guys.
listen, we have a packed show for you. So speaking of airports, let's buckle up and get you out on the tarmac for your news talk.
Morning,
You chose,
CJ.
hey, CJ, I can hear you there. You chose a good start. Choosing us. We are flying out of our capital, but we're across the region, up into Maine, additional signal strength, 98.7 FM HD2, 98.1 FM, and of course the seacoast of New Hampshire. And the seacoast is where most of that nor'easter was felt. But really, if you look at the accumulations, not as much even in Dover, Portsmouth, really southern, south of New Hampshire's coastline, more into Boston, South Boston, the Cape. Still an awful lot of people without power down there. That's where they got the accumulations. North Shore of Boston, Marblehead, South Shore, Duxbury, Cape. A lot of people still without power, and we had it for you all that yesterday, but not bad here. You know, we had the wind and the gusts, but not as much, and it's more south, and they're still got quite a cleanup. What a mess. We're going to hear from some of our national contributors, also on the airport side of things and the travel. This is a cleanup day, as you know. I still think like a couple thousand of the more than 5,000 flights canceled yesterday. It takes about 2 or 3 days to get the ripples out of our air system, it seems. We have a full show for you. Let me just set the stage. President Trump delivering a State of the Union tonight. Presumably it will get going after 9 p.m. We already know a number of Democrats are basically boycotting, protesting, not going. That's real mature, including most of the delegation from the state of Maine. No surprise. The president is going to reportedly talk about things like the economy, middle income earners, cost, the latest on the tensions with Iran, and also some of the other news. We're going to have more on that as we get going this morning. But let's start with some of our political analysts and all-stars, keeping an eye on the State of the Union. Brad Card, and co-host of Contact Politics. And this afternoon is a preview and talking about presidential politics, Congress, and State of the Union. Our own John Decker, White House correspondent, will be our guest on Contact Politics. Good morning, Brad. I know we have Brad. Good morning, Brad. We have Brad, CJ? Well, we don't have Brad. So we'll get that straightened out. Brad, you there? All right. We'll have Brad call back in. But let me just go over, some of our analysts, I was talking already this morning. Brad says he can't hear, so I'm going to have him call back. And I know Steve's in there, so we'll get this straight. By the way, J-Dog's gallivanting around San Francisco. That's probably why our phones, he probably jinked our phones. All right, Brad Card, let me know when you hear him, CJ. But one of our analysts said this morning, and he's going to be on shortly. Is Brad there? Brad, good morning. I heard you. Yeah, go ahead, Brad. You there?
I have feedback now.
Okay, ignore the feedback. Give us your take on the State of the Union. And I don't know if any needle moves on these types of things anymore. It seems that things are so divisive, but take it away, Brad. Well, you know what? Let's get that straightened out during the break, okay? We'll get our phone straightened out. So a lot of feedback, and that's an issue on our end in there. So one of our analysts, and I want you to think about this. Everything is so divisive, politically speaking, that the people, like, let's just take the Maine delegation, Angus King, Representative Pingree, the Democrats in Maine. Do you think there's anything tonight that Donald Trump, the President of the United States, can say, anything at all, that they're going to stand up and clap about? Anything at all? And the answer is no. So you look at, it's a speech at 9 p.m., and if you're not a fan of the administration and you want to hear about updates on what they're doing in the economy, the latest in the Middle East, the latest maybe on immigration enforcement, if you want to hear that, you're going to hear a lot of that tonight, probably over an hour. But if you're not in the Trump camp of this administration, even Marco Rubio is going to brief members of Congress this afternoon. If you're not in that camp, there's probably nothing that President Trump can say tonight. Probably nothing that you're going to like. And I think it's a sad statement. I also think it's pretty disgusting in some commentary, 603-228-2080. I think it's pretty disgusting that we have a partial government shutdown and members of Congress there tonight, Democrat, Republican, are getting paid. And we have a mess at the airports, a complete and utter mess because of Mother Nature and this blizzard, a complete mess at the airports. And these members of Congress are telling the TSA workers to work without getting paid, and they're getting paid. And they're playing politics with those paychecks, all for midterm election points. And some of them are so juvenile, they won't even go to the State of the Union tonight, and they're duly elected members of Congress. And they'll blame everyone but themselves. They're getting paid. But our TSA agents are not getting paid. And it's just kind of bizarre when you think about it. CJ, I don't want to say we're going to someone unless we're going to someone. So you tell me if we're going to someone. Otherwise, we won't. All right. We're going to come back because we do have a bunch of calls we got to get in, and we'll fill you in. But when we get going this morning, we are going to preview this a little bit. We're also going to have a great look at a wonderful, positive, upbeat news story. And that's Eversource and the Special Olympics at the bottom of the hour. Now, are you giving me thumbs up? You were in the Navy, so who's that, Brad? Okay, Brad, only if you can hear me. How you doing, buddy? All right, not going to do that one again. All right, when we come back, we're going to clean up the phones. And you know what it could be, although we didn't lose much power here. A lot of the South Shore, Boston, Cape Cod, down still. Some of these places got more than 2 feet of snow, and we'll update you on the power situation. But the Special Olympics, we have a great story. We're going to meet Mary. She serves as the president of the Special Olympics in New Hampshire. We're going to talk about the volunteer community. We're going to hear from Dylan and a bunch of folks. And we thank our friends at Eversource, speaking of power. All right, going to take a quick break, CJ. And when we come back, Good Morning New Hampshire. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google Worldwide. Play the Pulse of an H. Check out the pulseofanh.com. Jack Heath, CJ, and for J-Dog on a pretty nice sunny day out there, believe it or not. A little bit of wind gust hanging around. Much of the cleanup is south of us. And they're talking. You ready? Sit down. Buckle up. I know you're thinking about a Florida beach. I get it. But the skiing is great. The riding is great. The snowboarding is great with this snow. Going to get a little more tomorrow. I don't know if you've heard about that. Don't want to bum you out. A little bit more tomorrow as if you haven't had enough yet. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google. Play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath, CJ, and for J-Dog. Back in a moment.
From national headlines to local stories, when information matters, New Hampshire turns to the Pulse. We're the trusted source by the New York Times, Fox News, Politico, NHPR, and even the Boston Globe. Heck, Channel 9 even gets their updates from our parking lot. Time and time again, the Pulse of New Hampshire proves we're the source for them and the source for you on your radio dial at thepulseofnh.com and on the always free to download Pulse of NH app. Your home for news, talk, and information. This is 107.7 WTPL, the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Rugs create space. When you start off with a rug, it's much easier to adapt to the rug. It's a little bit harder to adapt a rug to a space that already exists or already has furniture in it. And then there are times when I say no to rugs.
Jody Sleeper from American Cottage in Guilford, which specializes in U.S.-made furniture, custom and design services, handmade rugs, and gorgeous lighting.
There's times where I go into a dining room and some people say, well, I need a rug here as well. And you don't. You don't always. Sometimes if you're into having a bunch of little rugs everywhere, you might as well get wall-to-wall carpeting. I don't sell it, but I can certainly help you pick out something that's cool.
For handmade rugs and custom home furnishings and gifts, visit American Cottage, open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5, Saturday 10 to 3. In-house consulting is always available, so visit American Cottage at 9 Guilford East Drive or call for an appointment, 877-263-7268, 877-263-7268.
Stephen Janot, senior economist, Bank of America, nationally, globally, and is, looking at the U.S. economy. Stephen, what do you see for the economy heading over the next couple of years?
I think you're going to get a little bit more clarity on the policy front. That's good for investment. It's good for hiring. Then you've got a positive fiscal stimulus coming from this one big, beautiful bill that should kick in, give a little bit more money to consumers, especially if you're a tipped worker, an overtime worker, or if you're a retiree, you'll see a little better refund there. That's going to help get a little more government spending out of that. AI has been a huge tailwind for the economy this year, both in terms of the investment cycle, but also in terms of a positive wealth effect. We think that can continue into next year. So you have all these tailwinds really that point to us that you're going to actually end up with better growth next year than this year, probably growth of around 2.5% rather than a little bit below 2%. Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you, Stephen Janot, senior economist, Bank of America. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks.
Energy. The energy you need to live your life. Nothing is more important to you or to Eversource, because powering New Hampshire is more than a job. We're focused on making that energy safe, reliable, and affordable by investing in the system to build a stronger, smarter grid, ready for a more cost-effective energy future. For all of us who call it home, Eversource. Your control, your peace of mind, your energy. To learn more, visit eversource.com.
We appreciate your patience. Everyone knows that great automotive service starts with a real knowledge of the industry. So stay on the line with Weed Family Automotive and let one of our ASE certified technicians take care of all your service needs. We are experts with hard-to-solve drivability problems, and we stand behind our work with a 24-month, 24,000-mile written warranty. Ask us for further details when we return to the line.
Visit Weed Family Automotive on 124 Storrs Street in Concord.
Your opinion matters. Check out the Pulse of NH Daily Poll every day on X, powered by alpinegold.com. Good morning, New Hampshire, live from the Outdoor Pride Studios. Now, back to Jack on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
All right. We are looking at a pretty nice day out there weather-wise. Got some sunshine and not a bad aftermath from yesterday where it was kind of gusty and snowy, in case you didn't notice. Just about everything was closed. We had plenty of warning coming out of the weekend. What a mess still at the airports. We're going to get an update for you. Rory O'Neill, our national correspondent. Still a lot of flights, people trying to get connections. I did see a good viral clip of a woman in Charlotte, North Carolina, taking a little video showing the lines going around the building and out the door and literally out to the outside. She goes, this looks like it's a 2 or 3 hour wait. And that was just in Charlotte. The problem with all these connections, it messes everything up. All right. As we get going this morning, if you're into politics and what a political environment, look at the optics for tonight's State of the Union. And it won't be until about 9 p.m. Eastern time, and that will be, of course, a late night type thing for some people on the East Coast. But I have a theory on politics these days, and that is if you are in one camp or another, and I think you know what I mean, you probably doesn't really matter what the president of the United States says tonight about the economy, Middle East, the border, what's going on down in Mexico. Probably doesn't matter, right? You're in a camp and your opinion's formed. That's just the way it is these days. And I can't change it. I don't know why that is, but it is. And you wonder, even with things like State of the Union, which is a big deal, the president of the United States formally giving an update to Congress. That's what the point. People don't even know today. They're so caught up in their own politics and self-importance. They don't even know the history of the State of the Union, why we have it. Now, going back seemingly forever, it is the chance for the president to bang his own drum on what he thinks about the economy, what he thinks about the world, what he thinks about his administration. But it is a very official brief, members of Congress, on the State of the Union. And we hear the number of Democrats that are going to be protesting and not going. Not going to go. Most of the main federal delegation is not going. So that's the environment. But look at what's going on. We are sending incredible naval power powers and another carrier, underneath the carrier, nuclear submarines, air to the Middle East, dealing with Iran, dealing with the tensions on a nuclear agreement. We have the situation down in Mexico, which is maybe not our direct concern, but a lot of Americans are being held in and around Guadalajara, not held, but, sort of locked into their hotel room or airports, Puerto Vallarta, with the Jalisco Next Generation Cartel retribution, and the economy. The economy. And some people won't even go. And what is even more insulting, speaking of the airports being clogged, TSA workers are not getting paid, and we're in the midst of a partial government shutdown. And every member of Congress, whether they're going or not, is getting paid, but TSA is not. All right, we're going to check in with one of our contributors. We'll get back with Brad Card in a moment. Apologize to Brad. Some phone demons at work. Neil Levesque, St. Anselm College, Institute of Politics. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning. You're right about the fact that there's a lot going on and a lot of sort of chaos of different situations. He's got to hit that straight off this morning or tonight. Anyway, I think what he really needs to do is cheerlead.
Hey, Neil, can you get a little closer to your phone? I don't know if you got a headset on or what you're doing.
There is feedback, as Brad had discussed.
Just ignore it there. Neil, does it matter if you're a member of the Maine delegation and you've been fighting the Trump administration, opposed to everything he does, including what he has for breakfast? Does it matter what he says tonight?
I don't think so for them. I think the people who are opposed to Trump and hate Trump and don't like him probably not going to watch this thing, and in the case of the delegation from Maine, not show up. I think that if you like Trump or you're at least mildly entertained by the whole thing, you're going to go or at least watch this speech. And Trump really needs to sort of cheerlead on the economy. But the big danger here is that he goes off script, which he does frequently, or he has so much in this grocery list of things that he's got to talk about that he doesn't focus completely on the economy, because there is so much chaos going on, as you mentioned.
Well, again, what about members of Congress? You teach civics. You head up an institute that studies presidential politics, whether it's a Democrat or Republican in the White House. What's your reaction to this number of Democrats who won't even go to the State of the Union address as a sign of protest? Is that politically mature, expected, or no big deal?
I think that it's a sign of the times, and I think that it started with Barack Obama giving the State of the Union and him being blasted by a Republican member, and I think it's gone downhill since. And I think that the state of politics now is somewhere there is no sort of the feeling of unity for the United States like there was, say, in the hockey game over the weekend. I think you feel that your side needs to be as extreme and angry and tribal as possible, and that's where you win points. Yeah. And it's on both sides. Don't think that if you're listening to this, it's only on one side. It's on both sides, and people, it's becoming toxic, and so they're not going to show up for the speech. I guess it's a quiet way to protest Trump rather than yelling at him from the well.
But the other thing, Neil Levesque, St. Anselm College, one of our political analysts at All Stars. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse. The other thing is, you have an environment tonight where these members of Congress are getting paid their salaries, but the Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer and others, are forcing this partial government shutdown around the Homeland Security objections, and TSA agents are dealing with the aftermath of the blizzard of 2026 in clogged airports, and they're not getting paid, and they're told to work. Where's the American public on this, the hypocrisy of this government shutdown?
I think that if you're on the Republican side or the Democratic side, there's an easy answer to this, which is blame the other side and say that those TSA agents aren't getting paid because of the other side. This is a typical situation. I think it's terrible, and these people need to be paid if they're going to work. But for some reason, until the American public starts to get mad equally, I think at both of these sides, we're in these terrible situations. Shutting down the pre-check thing on Thursday was sort of a strange move, but it was quickly, like 2 hours later, it was pulled back. So they left the pre-check open for people like you, Jack, who are pre-approved to travel. But it's a very strange situation where there doesn't seem to be a lot of thought going into some of the moves, both from the Democrats and Republicans, but particularly from the White House with a situation like that.
Yeah. And Neil, real quickly, presidential polling. Fox this morning, that's Fox, and I don't know who they use for their surveys or polls anymore, because I don't know who gets polled, has the president's approval ratings here in what is his second term, this midway point, at about 44%. And you mentioned former President Obama, probably where he was on that State of the Union. What challenges does that pose for this president?
That means that he is way below 50, and I think that 44 is very optimistic. I think that he needs to remind people that the economy is good and it's because of him. Now, I'm not making the argument for him. You may disagree with that, but that's the argument he needs to make to people, and he needs to focus on that. If he goes off script or he starts attacking the Supreme Court or doing, just not allowing people to focus on the economy,
right?
I think that that's the danger.
And of course, you know what's regrettable, and I can't fix it, I can't change it, but I've given some commentary on my show, Neil, the other day, I think yesterday, I mentioned how divisive this country's been before. Ironically, with the hockey win over the weekend, not only the women's, but the men's and the gold. In 1980, in Lake Placid, America was at a pretty low point. Speaking of divisiveness, President Carter's presidency, the interest rate was almost 20%. There were gas lines to get gas in your car. We were entering a full-blown serious recession. We had hostages being held in Tehran. The country's morale was very low. And you want to go forward or backwards? You go back to the 63 and the Kennedy presidency, the assassination of a president, the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., the assassination of Robert Kennedy. You want to go forward as the Vietnam War escalated, the 70s and the late 60s, an unpopular war, the resignation of Richard Nixon. We've had a very divisive American public long before someone named Donald Trump. But, what's regrettable in this environment, Neil, and I think social media makes it worse, is this president, tomorrow or Thursday could announce that we've reached a real nuclear containment agreement with Iran. I mean, like a real substantive agreement to limit enrichment, to limit the capabilities. And the folks that aren't attending the State of the Union tonight, again, I'll bring up the delegation from the state of Maine, they would not even say if asked if that's a good thing.
Well, that's the same as when the Obama administration, I believe, reached an agreement on Iran as well, and the Republicans wouldn't do the same thing.
Well, hold on. You're going to call that a good agreement?
I think it's a carry on of both things. By the way, going back to the
hold on, Neil. You're telling me that agreement in the Obama administration with Tehran, which was basically appeasement, you're saying that was a good agreement?
No, what I'm saying is that people didn't say it was a good agreement after.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's on both sides where if one side comes out with the best gold-plated victory, the other side is always going to attack it, and that's the way politics is now. And it's very unfortunate. People don't unify around the country like they used to, and it's the sign of the times. And why is that? Because the people that support both of those sides want that. They don't want moderates. They don't want people to come together on things and try to broker agreements. They want people to fight so that their opinions are affirmed.
All right.
And that's the sad truth.
You're going to mention real quick, we're going to go to the bottom of the hour, 1980.
1980 hockey game. The very next day was when Ronald Reagan at Nashua High School said, I paid for this microphone, Mr. Green. And he really turned around his own campaign the very next day, February 23rd, 1980.
That's great history. Thank you, Neil. Institute of Politics. Come back. We'll tell you about our Special Olympic friends. Excuse me. Thanks to our friends at Eversource. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of Age. Back in a moment.
107.7 WTPL, the Pulse of New Hampshire.
want to hurt, meaning ICE
Yeah.
and CBP, because they already have their funding. You're hurting TSA and you're hurting Coast Guard and you're hurting other Department of Homeland
I
Security.
hope he says it. I hope he says it that way because you're right. Thank you, Brad. We'll catch you later. Brad Card,
All
live,
right, let's see you, buddy.
live in Washington ahead of the State of the Union tonight. All right, I want to bring in, the president of New Hampshire operations for Eversource and a great, president of Special Olympics. So I guess we are doing something good today because there is a greater good always, despite the negativity or the Mother Nature and a little bit of snow, although some people are loving this snow. I'm not saying, Mary, you're one of them, but I'm going to introduce you first. Mary serves as president of Special Olympics New Hampshire. And we have a great volunteer community that really does power all the games year to year. And we're also joined by the president of operations for Eversource, Mr. Coates. Thanks for being in our studios. I know you've been a busy person the last few days.
Yeah, it's been a little busy, Jack. Thanks for having us.
You get any sleep? You like the plow drivers?
A little bit.
The line,
we, very fortunate in New Hampshire. Didn't get hit too bad. The light, fluffy snow was our friend. Unfortunately, our friends to the south are bearing the brunt of this, and we're down there helping them now.
Still about 230,000, I think William Hinkle said earlier.
That's correct.
Yeah. Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks the last few days for you?
Always Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. I agree with you. I was talking to someone the other day. I remember the first time I went to Starbucks, I couldn't even order a regular cup of coffee. But let's start with you. But talk about why does Eversource, the team, and why do you support Special Olympics? And then, Mary, I want to open this up. I think we have Dylan, by the way. Do we have Dylan on the line, CJ? Good morning, Dylan.
Morning.
Where are you joining us from?
Bedford, New Hampshire.
And you're a Winter Games athlete. Let's start with you, Dylan. I apologize. There's been so much happening this morning.
Don't worry about that.
Well, I thank you, Dylan. Talk about your own personal experience competing.
Well, I am a downhill skier, and I love the Winter Games because A, it gets everyone out and moving, and two, I get to see friends that I haven't seen in years. But most importantly, the impact that it has on both the athlete community and the volunteer community as a whole.
Wow. I just have some breaking news. Dylan, real quick, you're not minding this snow, are you?
No, I love it.
You love it. I appreciate it.
I skied at Waterville Pass and McIntyre, and the snow's been amazing.
Real quickly, how many years you've been doing the Winter Games?
17 years. The upcoming. This is going to be my 17th Winter Games.
Wow, good for you. Good for you.
I started when I was 8.
Wow, good for you, Dylan. That's good for you. Hey, Dylan, stay on the line. I'm sorry I have to do my job, Dylan. But we have breaking news. We have big breaking news, and I'm going to break it right now. First, Governor Kelly Ayotte has just announced. So everyone listen up. The Department of Homeland Security, she has gotten assurances, is not moving forward with the proposed Immigrations and Customs Enforcement ICE facility in Merrimack. Again, breaking here first. Good morning, New Hampshire. Before WMUR and anyone else, you heard it first. I think also Graham has it. Governor Kelly Ayotte announcing that the Department of Homeland Security is not moving forward with a proposed facility in Merrimack. She went to Washington last week. She had discussions with Kristi Noem, Homeland Security, and she's announced the Department of Homeland Security will not be doing this. And that's big news. Sorry, Dylan. Thank you for indulging. Mary, tell me about Special Olympics, and Bob, jump in because of time. The support of this, the excitement, Dylan, it means the world to him. Mary, how long have you been doing this?
About 40 years.
But other than that, no.
Yeah.
What made you originally want to do this?
So I worked at a camp in college that was a resident summer camp for folks with disabilities. And I went back to college and changed my major. And I felt like it's what I was meant to do. And I have, I've had a great career and an opportunity just to see so many changes in the Granite State for the athletes we serve, and love it every day.
Wow. Okay, Bob, why Eversource? Why the team leader and the volunteerism, and talk about this? Why is this so important?
Above and beyond Mary's infectious attitude, Eversource is really proud to be a longtime sponsor of Special Olympics. We've been since 2018 helping out on the Winter Games up at Waterville, and Dylan, at least that's one person that likes snow. That's great. But it's that motivation when Dylan talks about movement. One of the things that these athletes have taught us and taught me over these years, and I've been involved with Special Olympics in New Hampshire and in New England for over 20 years, it's about movement. Even when you're facing challenges, even when you have some challenges with abilities, it's just get up and move and do something. And that's just so inspirational. So it's really proud to, we're really proud to help the Special Olympian athletes and their families bring so much energy and power to the state. So really, really proud of that, and really, really proud of the employee teams at Eversource. We have over 100 volunteers who will give their time to help run the courses, set up the courses at the mountain over the weekend of the weekdays of March 2nd through the 4th. And Dylan, you're absolutely right. The snow is amazing.
And Mary, talk about volunteerism and how contagious, how important it is for the Winter Games.
So we are a volunteer event organization. We exist based on the high quality volunteers that choose to serve the athletes that we serve. We will have several hundred volunteers, of which Eversource is a huge part, of people that take time out of their lives to say, we are going to make the highest quality competitive experience and overall experience for the 400 athletes that'll be participating in our winter sports and basketball.
Wow. And again, you said 40 years for you?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
How fulfilling is this to be involved?
Yeah, I would tell
and
you.
Get a little closer, please.
Okay. Reflecting on my career, I feel fortunate and I feel inspired and I feel motivated. The athletes that we have the opportunity to serve change lives. To Bob's point, any opportunity that our athletes have to shine, they shine. Any bar is set, they hit. When I started at Special Olympics, athletes weren't driving. They weren't living independently. They weren't working. Today, athletes do all of that. I'll tell you a couple of sport fun facts or Special Olympics fun fact. An athlete who's trained and competed in Special Olympics is twice as likely to be employed. Totally makes sense. Sport, rules, right, wrong, you play the game between the lines. Even if you don't like a part of the sport, you have to do it to be a good teammate. All of that translates into a changed quality of life for our athletes. We were an organization 40 years ago that did for people with intellectual disabilities. We evolved to be an organization that made decisions with our athletes. And today we take our lead from our athletes.
And Dylan from Bedford, thank you, Dylan, for staying on and being patient. Just one, maybe you can wrap up before we got a few moments before we take a break.
Yeah.
You mentioned you love the fact that it gets everyone out, motivated, gets them outdoors to compete. What about the team feeling for you in terms of how important that is as an athlete? And by the way, are you a snowboarder or a skier or both? Did we lose Dylan?
I'm a skier. Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Dylan.
I'm a skier. The team feeling, I feel like, is a large component. I feel like the team spirit and the team feeling is a large component of what the Winter Games is and Special Olympics as a whole. And, you know, for the past almost 17 years, I'm absolutely loving it.
Good for you. Good for you. We're going to sneak in a quick break. We'll come back talking about Special Olympics and how you can help. And we'll hear from the head of Eversource in a moment.
This is the Pulse of New Hampshire. 107.7 WTPL.
Hi, this is Sean Toll with Davis Wealth Management. Think you can time the market? Think again. Market timing can be risky and unpredictable. At Davis Wealth Management, we focus on long-term growth and stability.
She's gotten assurances that Merrimack, New Hampshire is off the table. Let me repeat that. Merrimack, New Hampshire is off the table for a proposed ICE detention facility in Merrimack. That has been a real source of debate and concern, very real source of debate and concern for the last several weeks. No ICE facility in Merrimack, New Hampshire. We'll have more top of the 10 o'clock. We have the head of Eversource for operations in New Hampshire in our studios. They've been a little busy. More than 230,000 folks south of here in Massachusetts, more to the Cape without power. They're working on that. He's nice enough to come in because he cares about the Special Olympics and the Winter Games. We have Mary, who's been just a few years president. Wonderful. Where are you from, by the way, Mary?
Stratford.
You got to come closer.
Oh, Stratford.
I know where that is. I have a buddy who's was up there forever. Bob, why does Eversource care so much? And we appreciate Dylan, one of the athletes, joining us early. Why do you care?
Yeah, just like Dylan said, that team environment. Our employees, like I said, over 100 employees going to donate time. Our employees feel part of that team. We're going to not only run events on the mountain, but we're running the Athlete Village after the competition. We'll be in there doing some bucket truck rides, sand art, Build-A-Bear, karaoke, cornhole tournaments. That team environment is really inspiring to us. Just as you alluded to, Jack, we have a big event going on Cape Cod. We have a team of 125 people down there helping out. It's that team coming together to overcome challenges and really celebrate the success of these athletes. We do this more than just for Waterville Valley and the Winter Games. Mary inspired me to jump in the Atlantic Ocean in February, and I know Governor Ayotte.
Was it one of those days it was -5?
Yeah. Well, the good news, it was -5, and the Fish and Game said, hey, we're not going to put our folks in the water, so you guys should just like dip a toe, and that's it. We're going to do the same thing here in first weekend of March. We're going to dump into Lake Winnipesaukee just to test the water. It'll be chilly, but through those efforts, our teams raised over $90,000 for Special Olympics. So it's that team environment. We support the Champions Breakfast, the annual golf tournament, and then we also support the law enforcement torch run. We're partners in the city streets with our law enforcement, police, fire, EMS, as we respond to things 24/7, whether it's a pole accident or a storm. And we want to, partner with that community that's supporting the torch run. You think about that torch run, it's now almost run over 20,000 miles. That's almost twice the number of miles of distribution lines we have in the state of New Hampshire. So it's that inspiration that keeps us motivated, keeps us focused, and it's truly, truly breathtaking. I would encourage people to come out to Waterville. I'd encourage people to come down and dip into the Lake Winnipesaukee, or frankly, go to the Champions Breakfast. It is just inspirational.
Mary, about 1,000 volunteers.
Yes.
It's a big number. Coming up first weekend of March, Waterville Valley. Perfect, great place to have it in the Valley. Wonderful place. Your thoughts as we kind of move to the top of the hour on Eversource and beyond.
So Eversource brings out the best of our events. So I think Eversource works hard, and they also are as committed in their volunteer experiences, and they make us better. That allows our athletes to be better. In terms of the Winter Games, exactly right. Waterville Valley is a great host to our event, and we'll have, in addition to the more than 100 Eversource volunteers, we'll probably have 60 or 75 law enforcement professionals that will make up the number of volunteers that we need. But the Granite State is just so supportive of Special Olympics and our athletes. And I would say the organization that's the leader of those volunteer experiences would be Eversource.
Awesome.
So couldn't be more appreciative.
All right. Well, take care of Stratford. And again, and real quickly, 2,600 athletes, all kinds of stuff. How can people get involved, Mary? Can they get involved even after March?
Yes.
Can they volunteer? Can they recommend athletes? How can we grow this, Mary? And the website, please.
Yeah. The website is sonh.org. And yes, we have, we offer 17 sports. We have about 30 events during the year. There are opportunities to be involved with Special Olympics on a weekly basis or by event basis. And there's a lot of information at our website. And there's also a lot of fun fundraising opportunities as well.
All right. Thank you. And Bob, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. And thanks, Mary, and Special Olympics, New Hampshire. We're very proud to be the corporate sponsor of the Winter Games again this year. But as you said, it could just be show up and share some accolades, clap your hands, cheer for the athletes. It's tremendous. And it makes you feel good and warm inside in a very cold, long winter.
And I've said on a lot of our veteran advocacy, you don't have to be a veteran to nominate, to get involved, to support. You don't have to have served, and maybe that's a way you can do some service. Same with the Special Olympics. You don't have to necessarily be Dylan's mom or dad or brother or sister, but you can go watch and cheer on Dylan and so many folks. So thank you both.
So true.
Thanks.
All right. We may be hearing from the governor. CJ, I'll let you know top of the 10. We may not, but I'll tell you what the news is. Breaking here first this morning, about a half hour ago now. Governor Kelly Ayotte announcing this morning, no Merrimack ice facility. The governor says she was in Washington last week, met with Secretary Noem, and she got the Homeland Security ICE folks to scrub or take it off the table. There have been a lot of emotions, a lot of people, concerns in Merrimack. We had the Republican Senator McHugh on. We had Councilor Kenny last week. The council, we have learned from sources, was set to come out with a uniform letter opposing this facility. Governor Kelly Ayotte making it definitive this morning, saying no ICE facility in Merrimack. What I thought, and many thought, was going to be a protracted fight, because how do you stop the federal government from putting in a facility? Senator Hassan last week had asked the acting director about Mississippi. They were able to get something taken off the table. What about New Hampshire? And he was saying, no, we kind of like that location. Basically, Caroline Levitt from New Hampshire, White House press secretary, was asked last week by Graham, New Hampshire Journal. She said the same thing. Governor Kelly Ayotte making major news this morning. No ICE facility in Merrimack. We're going to come back with that and a lot more. Go Special Olympics. The website, one last time, Mary.
.org.
What?
SONH.org.
What?
www.
No, you don't have to say that. Just give like a concert. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
All right.
Back with that news in a moment.